Hey, yo, mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. What's going on with y'all, man? What's happening? If you've been rocking with me, welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. It's your dread-headed host with yet another dose, keeping you engrossed from coast to coast. That's right. Now, I don't know how many of you guys are actively involved in the political discourse, but if you don't know, last night marked the beginning of the Democratic National Convention. I believe it's a 3-day event, so we're going to be coming back and talking about this all week, all right? This is just video number 1 in a series of as many videos as it takes to get through what we need to talk about this, all right? So we're going to go over pretty much exactly what happened, not verbatim because there's a lot of garbage and nonsense that happened in between things, but we're going to kind of do a little bit of recap, and we're going to talk about this. We're going to dissect this because what they don't want you to do is think too hard about what's going on, all right? But once you get unplugged from the matrix, you can't go back. We talked about this already. So here we go. I'm gonna give it to you live. I'm gonna give it to you straight. And we're gonna break this down. So this starts out with a little conglomeration of little children singing the national anthem. You know, they all wearing their red, white, and blue. And it's real cute from different states and at all different races and backgrounds and colors and genders and sizes. And, you know, it's pretty adorable. All right, I'm not gonna say anything negative about the children. What kind of monster would I be? What I will say, though, is that any little children's choir sounds kind of creepy, just in general, all right? Y'all know what it be. In the horror movies, when the little children choir starts singing, you know something terrible is about to happen, 100%, all right? And in this case, it was cute, but it also was a little bit on the creepy side. That's just me personally, all right? Shout out to the kids, though. Y'all doing y'all thing. Y'all keep that music game up, all right? Sounded great. Now, what I will say, though, about the whole production, and this is going to be a recurring theme as we go through this, all right? They had all the people color coordinated to dress in the American flag colors, and then they had the big box blowout of all the screams of the children singing at the end to show all these people in unity and blah, blah, blah. They failed a very huge missed opportunity to arrange those people who they already had color coordinate in the shape of an American flag. Now, I would assume that anybody with half a brain that's been running political advertisements will understand that if you have the opportunity, go ahead and throw a flag up there. This flag's all over this convention, but they really dropped the ball on that one. All right, and like I said, the production value. This speaks to the production value across the board. If it wasn't people that had pre-recorded statements, all right? You know, Bernie Sanders had a statement, Cuomo had a statement. You know, if it wasn't for those pre-recorded ones, pretty much everyone else that was just talking on the Zoom call, the live stream, or whatever, has some trash production quality, bruh. I'm talking first day YouTuber, maybe, bruh. All right, I don't even think my first videos looked as bad as theirs did. All right, and I'm not a congressperson or a high government official with all kinds of money to buy good cameras and microphones. Okay, I'm scraping together like most of y'all out there probably watching this, and I got better production quality than them. All right, hey, if you're watching anybody from the Democratic National Convention, hit me up. I would be happy to come in and be paid to do production for y'all, because y'all need some help. Y'all need some help. Somebody should have told them. All right. Now, one of the things that we get into with this whole convention, right, is it seems to be a 3-day appeal to the black and brown community. Okay. Insofar as they have gathered as many black and brown people as they can to get on here and just sing the praises of Joe Biden, all right? Regardless of what they might have feel about some of the ridiculous mess that he said throughout the time, they coming in here talking about Joe Biden is great in that. One of the ways that they're trying to appeal to you, all right, is they're trying to appeal to that empathy center, right? So they paraded George Floyd's family out here, again, to give a statement. Now, I mean no disrespect to the family, because having someone die in the family is one thing. That turning into a whole national tragedy to where people you don't even know are now involved in that must be way more stressful, okay? So no disrespect to them. I know they're out there because they're actually seeking justice for the wrongful killing of their family member, all right? That's why they're out there to do that. Get the exposure, get the message out, so no disrespect to them. That all being said, the Democrats should be ashamed of themselves for this tactic, okay? You just parading around tragedy, trying to get people to feel bad. Like, oh, look at this. They brought up Breonna Taylor. They brought up Tatiana Jefferson. So many of these different names that we've heard, all right, the people have protested about, rioted about, looted about, all these things, bringing up these names. But you know what they didn't do? You know what none of them have really called for unequivocally is the arrest of these officers that have been murdering these people, right? You bring in these families, you bring up these names, you say the wrongful murder, you call it murder, right? You pretty much condemned the action, but you won't actually seek physical justice, all right? You won't actually seek any sort of reprimand to these officers, because guess what? The two people that we have running on the ticket, all right? Jim Crow Joe Biden himself, running, his whole crime bill, his whole career has been about arresting people as much as possible, expanding the number of police, expanding the prison systems, all right? The whole school to prison pipeline, he didn't want no busing, all right? So he had a little bit of part in that. The way you look at it, all of that mess, all right, comes down to them. Then you turn around and look at his VP, all right, Kamala Harris or Kamala Harris. I don't know. Somebody in the chat let me know how to pronounce this woman's name in the comments. Okay, I'm getting ready to go off, and I'm not trying to be too disrespectful. I don't want to mispronounce somebody's name. I feel that pain. All right, but they didn't pronounce it any other way, and she black, brown, whatever she needs to be, so she probably don't even care how her name is pronounced by people. All right, but her herself, long history of being soft on police, refusing to prosecute them for crimes. All right, she's basically a cop herself. In what world? Tell me this. In what world, if we're gonna go out and parade all these people around, one of the big ticket issues on this is police brutality and ending that and all that, and justice, okay? But the two people in charge of doing that I'm supposed to be hopeful for, that I'm supposed to cast my vote for, all right? My ancestors died for my right to vote. My ancestors did not die for some old white dude to tell me that I'm not black and then that I have to vote for him unequivocally because he's the best option I got, all right? That's voter suppression. Miss me with that bullshit, all right? We in here today. I got smoke for everybody, so keep it locked, all right? But that, using that, and they did this back previously, in previous years, right? They had this one, they had the mother of Eric Garner on there, all right? Joe talked to her a little bit, reminding us of that tragedy. I don't recall if any of those officers have been prosecuted into the jail yet, all right? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I'm honestly having a hard time keeping up with all these people that we need to lock up because they never locking them up. There's just so many people running rampant doing whatever they want to do. So somebody let me know if they ever got them. But if they didn't, then I have to ask Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, your constituents up there in legislation, where is the actual attempt to seek justice for the crimes that were done? You give me a lot of lip service, you give me a lot of nonsense, but you're not giving me any results. And we're gonna get more into this symbolism over substance thing, all right? We're gonna get back into that in a little bit when we get down to some of these people that came in to speak on Joe Biden, Jim Crow Joe Biden's behalf, all right? Excuse me, let me say his name correctly, Jim Crow Joe Biden's behalf, all right? They brought out, I remember years ago, they had the mother of Trayvon Martin come out. They were talking about, oh, this is terrible and that. George Zimmerman saw a courtroom. He got off, all right? Failure in justice, but they don't ever bring that back up because that was an emblematic failure of the justice system as we have it, all right? Which is overseen by people like Joe Biden and the legislation that he's put in place himself, written himself, all right? For as an aside, just in case y'all didn't remember, this is the same Jim Crow Joe Biden that said we need to shut down raves and lock up anybody that has anything to do with raves. Now, for those of y'all listening out there, those of y'all watching this, if you are a raver, all right, my fellow ravers, shout outs to y'all, all right? Let me know down in the chat, all right? This whole coronavirus has messed up my whole summer flow. I know y'all feeling it too, but imagine that. You minding your own business at a little festival, a little rave, having a good time. All of a sudden, here comes jackboot police to arrest you for doing what? Enjoying music that Jim Crow Joe decided was not fit for the people, essentially, right? His argument was that, oh, there's drugs and that. There's drugs everywhere, Joe. There's drugs everywhere. All right, Wall Street got all kinds of cocaine flying out of everybody's ears. All right, I seen Wolf of Wall Street. Y'all not about to play that with me, okay? But Jim Crow Joe, back then, he said, you know what? I don't like raves. That's not my thing, so we're gonna send those ravers to jail, all right? I don't really like black folks, so we're gonna get them diluted with crack and we're gonna send them to jail at a higher rate than people doing the cocaine, all right? Where do you think crack comes from? All right, for those of y'all that don't know, it's a derivative, it's watered down cocaine, okay? But he wasn't hard on those people. Like his son with the coke problem, he wasn't out here talking about, oh, we gotta lock you up, I'm sorry, we gotta lock you up, you got a coke problem, that's hard on crime. No, he wasn't doing that. So miss me with that bullshit too, all right? Now, I could talk about how they're running George Floyd's family and Breonna Taylor's family and all these people through the ringer as some kind of political gambit, but I think y'all get the point. Y'all understand it. I want y'all to watch the next couple of days and see how many more times they bring up Breonna Taylor's name and how many times, comparatively, somebody actually calls for the officers to be arrested, prosecuted, and sent to jail, all right? Not just arrested, I think a couple of them got arrested and then they got out like the next day on bail. I'm pretty sure one of them, and his bitch ass, he had the audacity to post a little pic of him at the beach with his family on Instagram just kicking it. All right, ain't no kind of social, just kicking it. In what world do I watch somebody kill a man on live stream and then a couple months down the line, nothing happened to him, he might have got arrested. They treated him gently. I know they didn't rough him up on the way to the jailhouse like they would have anybody else accused of such a crime, and then let him out, and now he's on IG kicking it on the beach. What kind of, and they say they like to blame Donald Trump for this. This is one of the main recurring themes of this whole convention is, well, all of this is the fault of Donald Trump. If it wasn't for Donald Trump, we wouldn't have police killing black folks in the street. If it wasn't for Donald Trump, racism wouldn't even exist in the country. Okay? How did that make sense? They called Donald Trump the first racist president. We had presidents that literally owned slaves. Feel me? All right. He's the latest in a long line of racists. Okay. But he's definitely not the first. And all of this, while definitely exacerbated, all right, I will concede that his rhetoric and the way he's been doing stuff definitely has emboldened a lot of people, a lot of Karens, to do more blatant discriminatory things. That much, you can draw a correlation there, all right? But he's definitely not the root cause of this. Donald Trump didn't put in place any legislation that was unfairly slanted against minorities, all right? Unfairly slanted against people of lower income families. That wasn't him. He wasn't the one suggesting that, we should send kids that are truant and we send their parents to jail, all right? Which, as we know, disproportionately affects low income family, which, as we know, tends to be that black and brown community. I'm putting it in quotes because that black and brown shit is bullshit, all right? That black and brown shit is nonsense. We'll get into that a little bit later, all right? But the black and brown community, all of their actions, all of these things are tangible things we can point to and say, hey, guess what, Kamala, guess what, Jim Crow Joe? You blame Trump for all this, but this is a legacy that was started by y'all way before he came in office. So miss me with that nonsense. But let's move on to a couple other things that they had going on here. You had a girl come out, and again, no disrespect to the family that's grieving, no disrespect to anyone who's passed away, all right, from either police brutality or the coronavirus, but we're gonna talk about these things, and I got smoke, all right? So no disrespect. Let me say that one more time. No disrespect, okay? I value all human life, all right? Even if you might have been a piece of shit. All right, not saying that this person was, but some people died. People roasted Donald. They said, Donald Trump's brother died. Ha, no, all right, no. No matter how much you hate him, if you actually truly care about people, you should not be up on here making fun of him because he lost his brother. All right, no matter how much of a shithead he is, you should not do that if you claim to be the humanitarian that you want to be, okay? So getting that out the way, there was a woman on there last night that came on to talk about her father, who was a Trump supporter. Okay, he was 65 years old. Apparently his only, and this is a quote, his only pre-existing condition was trusting Donald Trump, which, all right, hats off to whatever intern wrote that little soundbite for her, okay? Because that's just, her father ended up contracting the coronavirus and passing away due to complications of COVID-19. Now, how did he contract the coronavirus, you ask? Did Donald Trump come infected with the coronavirus and sneeze in this man's face, forcing him to be in contact with the virus, which otherwise he would not have been? Not exactly. Nope, not exactly. See, what happened, as she explained, was that her father went out to karaoke with a whole bunch of friends, and nobody wearing no mask and nobody social distancing. For y'all that's been to karaoke, you know that can get ratchet real quick. So we can assume the environment, the situation, all right, based on the information we were given. Because of this, he ended up contracting the virus and later on passed away from complications from the virus. Now, this is sad. We don't want people to die if it can be avoided, okay? But Donald Trump, while he did definitely downplay the severity of the virus, while he did definitely kind of give people this false sense of, we can just go out and do whatever and it'll be fine. His rhetoric is crazy. All right, I'm not a Donald Trump supporter. All right, get that orange motherfucker out of here. But at what point does personal responsibility come into play? All right, regardless of how I feel about whether or not this virus is going to be the end all be all and destroy us all, I understand that it is a real thing that can be contracted. I understand how it can be contracted. There's plenty of doctors that's been up there that said a whole bunch, given the information, all right? Him as a grown-ass man, he chose to ignore all of the warnings, go out with his friends and kick it, put himself in a vulnerable situation. Am I saying that he should have caught it? That's what he deserves? No, absolutely not. All right, absolutely not. But he's a grown-ass man, let me remind you. 65 years old, he don't got no dementia, no pre-existing conditions, except for, I guess, he likes Donald Trump, so he might be a little slow for that, but that's what he believed in. So he went and he acted using his freedom given to him as an American. And because he acted freely and did what he wanted to do, he contracted the virus, and unfortunately, he passed away. Can I turn around and just solely place that blame on the doorstep of Donald Trump? If I'm being intellectually honest and fair, no, not really, you can't do that. Where was the daughter at? She should have been like, hey, Dad, no, don't go outside, all right? And I'm sure, as concerned as she sounded, I'm sure that was a concern that she voiced to him, before all of this took place. I'm sure they had that conversation at one point in time, but he decided of his own accord to go do it anyway, all right? You can't just blame that widely on, this is a Donald Trump's fault. His handling of the whole thing, trash, I will give you that, unequivocally. But you cannot just blame him for every single death that happens as if there wasn't ways that you could have prevented it on your own. I don't listen to most of the stuff that Donald Trump says, all right? But so far, knock on wood, I have avoided contracting the virus because I've taken the precautions myself as an adult should do to avoid putting myself in those situations where I might be vulnerable to that, okay? So miss me with that. They need to stop all that right now. They continue to do this throughout the night. They bring out some more people with similar stories and that. Not gonna break all those down, but this idea that he is solely responsible for the death of these people who chose of their own accord to go do what they did, all right, and got in the situation that they got themselves in, okay? No, because they don't have that same energy for the likes of Kamala or Jim Crow Joe when you look at the people that have been in jail because of the crime bill. They're not saying, oh, well, Joe, you did this. They're not taking responsibility for that. All right, so it's a double standard. It's weak political nonsense that they're putting through. Okay, why not blame Dr. Fauci, who at the beginning of this lied to the American people, which he admitted to down the line. You can look it up as the facts. Lied to the American people, said the masks are not effective. Okay, which arguably, and we could go. Somebody with some background in math, petition, and stats, you go look at the spikes and how it started off. Arguably, had he not said that, had he been honest with us and said, yeah, put on the mask and do all this stuff, I guarantee you, based on what they've said, that would have slowed the spread. We wouldn't have seen an explosion like we did in the start. All right, but he lied to your face. He did. He admitted that. And his justification was, well, we need to make sure that the medical professionals had masks too. Okay, well, guess what? And if you had followed this to logical conclusion, you wouldn't have said this dumb shit. It wouldn't have fucking came out of your mouth. Guess what? If the people were wearing the mask and it had slowed, and they had the mask, which allegedly it's going to slow the spread, then the hospital workers would have been less overwhelmed. All right, and they probably would have more access to masks because they would have been using them so constantly. You see what I'm saying? All right, his actions led to more people getting it, which led to more stress on the hospitals anyway. Okay, so where's the smoke for him? I didn't hear anybody mention his name on this about, well, he killed my dad. Fauci killed my dad because he downplayed the thing. No, they blame Donald Trump specifically. Okay, soft target. Now, another thing, and this is something I didn't notice when I was watching it last night. We were watching it on, I think, the PBS coverage of it. And I didn't realize that they weren't showing the full, actual, uncut convention. They showed, like, different clips and pieces that they wanted to do, and they covered it with their pundits or whatnot. All right? But I was watching some highlights and watching the actual full coverage that they had put up. And I'll link down to the full coverage below if y'all want to check it. That's like 2.5 hours of nonsense. But you can skim through to some critical parts and just kind of go. If you want to look and see what I saw, you can skim through to these critical parts, all right? But one of the things they had in there, they had a whole ass R&B music video in the middle of this bad boy. I don't remember what the brother's name was, all right? I'm not about to sit here and roast the band. I'm not about to sit here and tear some black folks down for doing music, all right? Shouts out to y'all. I'm sure that was huge for y'all, all right? You get to perform on a huge, stage like this, virtually or otherwise, get that exposure. All right, great job. And you sounded good. But I was like, I'm watching this thing today, right before recording this. I'm like, they had a whole R&B music video. They had a gospel choir, at different points, they had different prayers going on. The pandering, my friends, is so real. It's so real. An R&B song was decent. I'm not gonna say it was fire, all right, but I'm not gonna tear him down either. It was okay. It was okay. Y'all did okay. Y'all did good, all right. But after this, and I would be remiss if I did not mention the other music performer they had on there, which I forget what her name. It was some white girl in a long flowing white dress standing on these rocks, next to the ocean, playing acoustic guitar, which is something that I sworn was something that they ripped straight out of the Republican National Convention. Because this looked like this might have well been Taylor Swift ass up here. Like this was ridiculous. But I digress. Okay, music choices. Do better. All right. Hopefully, day 2, day 3, they get some more artists to come on and do better music. At the very least, better music. But after all of this, so begins the circle jerk of Joe Biden. Okay. Now, and this is from people who previously criticized him for being divisive, for implementing racist policies, and potentially being a sexual abuser to a couple of women. I don't know if y'all remember that. All right. There was some claim that Joe Biden was pulling a little Donald Trump, when he was early on in the campaign game. Who knows what happened to that woman? They probably got her locked in a cellar somewhere. I don't know if it came out. I think that maybe it came out that it was, not substantiated or whatever. But I do remember Miss Kamala Harris, when they asked her about it, she said, "Oh no, I believe all women. I believe that woman." All right. So now let me ask you this, Kamala. You believe all women, and yet you position yourself right next to someone who potentially, if you believe what the woman says, is a sexual predator, and you can stand there proudly with a smile on your face and this is gonna be better than the sexual predator we already got up in there. Come on, fam. I mean, they had Andrew Yang, they had all the people that were up there that were the previous up for the previous debates. All right, all those people that had all the smoke for Joe Biden previously. Okay, guarantee you he promised all of them a seat in the cabinet, and that's why they up here, singing his praises on high, because not one of them had the energy saying Joe could do it. All right, that's the whole point of the campaign. I never understood that. Why would you ask me, who was your opponent, to come in and endorse you after the fact, especially if we had a really harsh, mudslinging campaign like they did? Why would I then come in, throw out everything that I just said over the last couple months to get behind you and say, actually, you know what? Never mind, he's a good guy. That's I can't trust none of y'all. All y'all in it for the game. But let's one of the best people that was on here was John Kasich, and if you don't know, John Kasich was, I think, the governor, the previous governor of Ohio, something like that. All right, and he got a storied past, a checkered past. We're not gonna get into too much there. Although he was really big on trying to bust up workers' unions, which will come back into play later on. We talk about Joe Biden and his promise to actually increase the ability to get in a workers' union. So it's funny that they had this dude out here, but they got John Kasich standing there, quite literally standing at a crossroads, bro. At first, when the shot came on, it had the overhead shot from the drone. I was like, what are they doing? This is some more trash production value. But then they brought it down, and I realized that somebody in the room, my roommate, had to point out that, he's standing at a crossroads, because I missed it. All right, I was like, and when it hit me, I was like, here we go again. This is the perfect thing. Perfect emblem of the Democrats' addiction to symbolism over substance. All right, and we've talked about symbolism over substance here on the channel before. I'll link to that video down below as well if y'all want to get into that. Check out that. But long story short, they have a history of giving a lot of lip service, right? They might go up and they might paint Black Lives Matter on the street. They might go and turn, a Black Lives Matter Boulevard. They might say, we need to be tough on crime. But at the end of the day, where have they delivered on any of these things? All right, the vice president is the prosecutor. She should be all over prosecuting these police that's murdered all these people. All right, but she's not. She's not that. All right, Joe Biden is a lifelong politician. He's written legislation. All right, he should be all over that. He mentions that we need to, get the bad cops. He's like, when he was talking to Eric Garner's mother and Lori Lightfoot. I'm gonna stop. He mentions that we need to get the bad cops, right? But he makes no actual commitment to doing so. He gives no actual steps to how this is going to happen. It's just a whole bunch of lip service, as it always has been, right? They brought in Trayvon Martin's mother years ago. They're bringing in Eric Garner's mother now. They're talking about George Floyd's mother. All these people continuously getting killed, all right? And there's other people. It's not just black people that are affected by police brutality. Let's keep it a buck, all right? People from all walks of life can be brutalized by the police. It's more likely to happen to minorities just because of this slant that we have in society, right? Because they know they can get away with it, all right? They're not gonna run up and assault Becky, and all right, her friends, they're not gonna have that. They're gonna call their uncle, the congressman, and they're gonna have that dude in jail the next day, okay? But anyone can be a victim of police brutality. And that's been going on for a long time. And again, I like to point out that Joe Biden was in favor of more policing. All right, he's really hasn't backed down on that. I mean, if you look at what he's talking about now, he's not talking about defunding the police. He's not talking about reducing the type of presence that the police have in neighborhoods. He's not talking about any actual police reform. He'll say the words police reform, but he won't explain what that is. He'll go and ask Eric Garner's mother, what do you think police reform looks like? Which is a slap in the face. I would have came through the camera on this motherfucker if that was me. Shmeen, what do I think? I've been telling y'all for years. That happened years ago. What needs to happen, all right? And Joe Biden was the vice president at the time, if I'm not mistaken. So he was actually in a position already to affect change, and he failed to do so. Constantly over and over again, he failed to deliver. So now here we are, 2020, running into this. And what do you have for me? Any kind of substantive thing I can grab onto? Anything, any promise, any plan that I can get excited about moving forward and electing you in the office, right? No, you don't have any of that. You don't. And here we are again. But I see a lot of black people, smiling and saying Joe Biden's name, right? They've mentioned Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, and Black Lives Matter, so they must, appreciate that, right? But this just takes it back. All right, y'all remember when Nancy Pelosi and them came out in the Kente cloth and took a knee for 7 minutes on Capitol Hill, talking about we doing this, to celebrate the life of George Floyd and that. But none of them came to the table to push the prosecution of these people. These are the lawmakers. People, you and I can only do so much. We can call for a reform, right? We can go protest in the streets. We can contact our congressmen, send these emails, donate to these funds, all these things. But you know who the people who actually make the decision and swing the gavel are? The people that are elected in these offices and these positions. And if they're not willing to actually do anything, then all we're doing is making noise. That's all we're doing. We're making noise and we're treading water. But that's not, they haven't thrown nobody no lifeline. So here we are again. More lip service, more symbolism, more nonsense. Miss me with that. Miss me with that. And again, and I wanna break this down a little bit too, all right? Because I mentioned the black and brown in the quotations. Let me explain to y'all why black and brown is some bullshit, all right? First of all, it's a buzz term that they're using. They've been using it for that's their platform now. What does black and brown really mean? Well, that they're looking at, I assume you might be talking about the darker skinned Asian people in America, the Latin people, the darker skinned in America, obviously black people in America. I guess we're extending that to anyone that kind of sort of fits that, right? But do you understand why that's some bullshit? Because if you're out here talking about Black Lives Matter and you're wanting to do things that's supposed to be helping black people, but at the same time, you're diluting the issue. Say, well, this is all people's. All black and brown is all lives matter repurposed. That's all it is. Because the Indian people from India, all right, in the Middle East, those people are not facing the same type of struggles that black people face in America. Are they facing struggles, religious persecution, racism? Of course. Though there is some line up there. But it's not the same thing. All right, America did not enslave their people. All right, they didn't put their people through Jim Crow. Okay, wasn't no Reconstruction for them. All right, they didn't go and assassinate their leaders. All right, and plain view of everybody over the course of many, many years to the point where they've crippled the community economically, spiritually, and socially. That's not what happened to those people. So when I'm talking about black issues, I'm talking about black issues, right? Not brown issues, because if you talk about, let's look at some brown issues. Brown issues, okay? If you talk about the Hispanics and that, the immigration's huge right now, right? We still got those concentration camps on the border. Don't think I forgot, all right? Ain't none of them made any kind of real promise to end the concentration camps. They said, we'll work on the immigration reform. All right, they didn't say we're gonna let these kids out of the concentration camp. That's not what they said. Don't get it twisted. Listen to the words that are coming out of your mouth. They lie and they catch them all their own selves in the lie. All you got to do is listen, right? But immigration does not affect black people that were already brought by force and live in this country natively, right? That's not really an issue for us. So, but if you say black and brown, well, now you have to encompass all of these things, right? So then if you have the umbrella of black and brown and you bring up something like reparations, then even first of all, none of them will talk about reparations. None of them will commit to that at all. Right? They say it can't happen, it can't be done. Meanwhile, they're cutting $1 trillion checks just off top for coronavirus relief whenever the big business, right? Not even to the people, but the different business corporations. They say the money doesn't exist. They cut that check right quick the first time, okay? So that's a lie that they've been telling you. In case you didn't notice, that was a lie. But then if you even talk, the people that will talk about it, they'll want to go in and dilute it down. Say, well, we need to give, we can't just be the African descendants of slaves. It's got to be the, black and brown people and like their kids. So then next thing you know, white folks getting reparations, white women. It's like affirmative action, right? That was something that was put in place to help black people at first when it was first implemented down in like the Florida school system. It's supposed to help black people, right? But they said minorities, and that's going to include women as well because women are minorities somehow, even though women will always make up 51 to 49% of the global population because that's how that works. So maybe they're minorities that day, a couple years down the line, they would have been in the majority. But either way, white women still benefit from affirmative action based on how they interpret it. All right, black and brown, this new black and brown is the new all lives matter. It's the new affirmative action for white women. You're diluting the issues down while at the same time looking me in the eye saying that I have your best interests at heart. Think about that. All right, now let's move on because they had a couple more speakers on here I want to get to. Oh, yes, they had the incomparable Bernie Sanders come on to deliver an address. Now, I'm pretty sure his was pre-recorded. His was one of those ones where the production value was good. All right, so it was most definitely pre-recorded, and he had this whole statement prepared. Now, let me ask y'all something. Who out there is still feeling the burn? All right, if you still feeling the burn, let me know down in the comments. And let me know why you're still feeling the burn, right? I went to the Bernie Sanders rally, right? He had one up in Chicago at Navy Pier a while back when he was still on the campaign trail. Even back in 2016 when he was running, he was doing his thing. I was like, this man, he's saying the right things. He's progressive. He wants, health, Medicare for all. He wants health care for everybody, which right now in the wake of a pandemic, an ongoing pandemic, seems much more, pertinent than it ever has been because you have all these people that are passing away because they don't have health care. They can't get themselves the medical care that they need, the attention that they need. So you have a lot of people that are in these crosshairs that don't need to be, right? Bernie was talking about all kinds of racial equality and stopping injustice and all this. He was talking the good talk. He had, his resume went back. He was like, I was back there in the civil rights movement, getting my ass whipped alongside all these other Negroes, fighting for equal rights. So I was like, what, Bernie, you saying the right things. You with me? And then in 2016, he was sabotaged by the DNC, right? I put it in quotes because they did do it, but also I feel there's a larger scheme than just a surface level sabotage at work here. But he lost to Hillary and lost the seat, lost the nomination, and then he got behind her and said, even after spending a whole vitriolic campaign talking about Hillary Clinton and how she's no good and she's the establishment and all this other stuff, he came out and said, I'm gonna support her. It's for the party. We got to band together to beat Donald Trump. All right, that was the narrative in 2016. We got to band together and beat Donald Trump. It was the lesser of two evils. Okay. Fast forward to 2020. He's back out on the trail. He's got steam now. People know who he is who didn't know who he was before because he had that whole, election cycle of exposure, right? He's got more support now than he ever had before. He's going through. You get to the end of the debates. Everybody's dropped out. It's basically just him and Joe Biden, Jim Crow Joe Biden left over, right? So I would expect, okay, Bernie's going to push him because Biden really, he calls himself a moderate. He's kind of the conservative. He's in moderation for them, just goes so far as their corporate interests, right? They might change some stuff up for their corporate interests, but mostly he's fairly conservative. All right, I would consider him more of a conservative than a moderate, right? So I assumed that Bernie Sanders was going to come with some smoke, right? Even if he was being sabotaged again, that was already on the rise. That news story was already on the rise before it even looked like he was being sabotaged, right? Like, oh, they're sabotaging Bernie again. I'm like, how? He made it to the end. He's in here. He's got all this support, right? And then he just drops. He's like, what? I'm suspending my campaign. We need to come together. We need to beat Donald Trump and blah, blah. Let me ask you something, Bernie. Let me ask you something. If it didn't work the first fucking time, that idea that we just need to, that's what we need to do, just band together, lesser of two evils, we got to do this. Why would it work the second time? This is the same exact strategy. And I don't understand, so for some people that have been in the political sphere for so long, why they think that yes, this, while it didn't work the first time, it's definitely gonna work the second time. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry, let's go, all right? And Bernie's progressive self, right, once again has shepherded all these people who would not have been excited about Joe Biden at all in the slightest, weren't even on his radar, right? Has shepherded all these people in to vote for Joe. So here's the way I see it, okay? Bernie comes out, he's doing his progressive thing, right? He gets all these, maybe the youth, you know, some people galvanized that wouldn't normally vote for a conservative moderate like Joe, Jim Crow Joe, right? And then he concedes, or Hillary, and then he concedes, right? And he says, hey, we need to do this, and this is gonna be the best thing for America. We gotta beat Donald Trump, right? But at no point following his concession of either campaign, 2016 and 2020, did we see him then pushing the person that he's now throwing his support behind, he's now throwing his substantial voter base behind, assumably, pushing the nominee, be it Hillary or in this case Joe, to adopt some of these policies that he had, at least one of the policies. He doesn't do that. He folds. All right. Now, some of y'all are not gonna want to hear me say this. All right. But I'm fucking done with Bernie Sanders. He's proven ineffective on multiple occasions in getting done the things that he wants to get done, and then where he and he alone is in the position to actually negotiate, because if he would have stayed in the race, they would say, well, if I stay in the race, it's going to split the vote, right? And then Donald Trump's going to win. So he's confident that people will vote for him. People are there to listen to him. But he doesn't use that political power, right, to leverage that at all to get in these policies that he's been pushing for, that his progressive policies he's been pushing for. Instead, we're left with conservative moderates and the lesser of two evils. Then, well, at least they're better than Donald Trump. Well, Bernie, how is Joe better than Donald Trump exactly? Well, Bernie does mention a couple of policies, right, that Joe's supposed to get behind, right? And we gonna get to that in a second. But before that, he goes on to, you know, blame Trump. He chastises Donald Trump. He says, Donald Trump, meanwhile, while people are losing the stimulus package that they were dependent on, the $600 a week unemployment and the $1,200 check, you know, that they're dependent on because everything is shut down and everybody's out of work and rent is due and they're kicking people out of the houses because there's no real mortgage, there's no real freeze on evictions. They let that go, right? He says, Donald Trump, meanwhile, writes these phony executive orders that virtually do nothing, right? Which is true, because the president does not have the power to just give out money to the American people. That lies with who? Congress, right? And guess who's the members of Congress? Might that be Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, all right? A lot of these other names that were up here, you know, giving all the lip service. And guess what they did? These are the people who failed to pass the bill to get these people that $600 a week, to get these people that $1,200 stimulus check. But you know what they did instead? Right before they left on a month-long vacation, right, while America is literally burning all around them, okay, they said, we're gonna cut one more big check, you know, to the big business real fast, make sure that they stay afloat. And then we out of here. Right, that's the one thing that they agreed on, was that we need to get more money into the corporations who aren't really taking care of their employees anyway. But we're gonna give them some money. We're gonna give them some money, we're gonna prop this up, but the rest of y'all on your own until we get back in September. Hopefully, you don't get kicked out of your fucking house in the next month. Because you know when they come back, it's gonna take at least another week, 2, maybe 3 weeks for them to come to any sort of concession. Right? And the way that they're trying to pass this new one is very itemized. Unlike the first one, which was a blank slate, it got out a lot faster. They're trying to do this in the slowest fucking way possible. And they have the audacity to turn around and say, well, this is Donald Trump's fault. Fuck out of here with that. All y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. Every last one of you. Especially trying to shift the blame. What you can do, all right, is take responsibility. You want me to trust you? You want to trust your party? How about any one of you take responsibility for one of the wrongdoings that we can unequivocally point to that you've done? These are facts, all right? This is not an opinion. This is not just some sort of random observation that I'm making up. These are facts. This is what happened, All right, this is real life. All right, and in real life, Donald Trump, dumb as fuck as he is, incompetent as he is, went and he wrote these little fake executive orders. But that was something. You don't chastise the man for doing something, even if it didn't work. All right, he's not in Congress. He can't run in there and say, "Hey, y'all need to get this together." All right, that's what checks and balances are for. So that was on y'all. Y'all fucked it up. All right, say with me. The Congress fucked us. All right, this August. Not Donald Trump. If anything, he tried his best. His best just was wildly and hilariously incompetent and did nothing. But he did something, whereas y'all did nothing. And here you are looking at me saying, well, we need to get him in there, right? He's going to bring America back. Bring America back to what? To Jim Crow? What are y'all even talking about? You keep talking about we're going to go back to this normal, but this pandemic and all of this unrest, social unrest, again, this was all happened. This was all put in place. This was all made possible prior to the Trump administration. The Trump administration exacerbated it. The Trump administration's very existence is merely a symptom of a disease that has been spread and propagated by the likes of Kamala Harris and her soft on crime. I'ma send poor people to jail for no reason. I'ma get on here and joke about smoking weed on the Breakfast Club. I'ma lie about listening to the music, which is just I don't even know why she lied about that. That's just a fact that could be easily looked up. I'm gonna really pander to you, right? I'ma assume I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna say I'm the first Indian Indian woman to be elected senator, but now she want to be the first black. All right, she just whoever she needs to be. No one is taking responsibility for what's going on here in the Democratic Party. And I'm not saying that the Republican Party is any better, all right? Some of y'all are probably like, well, you got all this smoke for the Democratic Party. Why don't you get any smoke for the Republicans? Because the Republicans aren't asking me for my vote. Republicans don't care about me. And I've said this a million times. I'd rather deal with somebody who's gonna call me a nigga to my face than someone who's gonna call me a nigga behind my back after I go in and took all my money, all right, and pimp me like a $5 hoe. Because that's what they're doing. That's what they've done. That's what they're going to continue to do. And we're going to get into some of the things that Bernie has mentioned, that Joe Biden's about. And I want you to take careful stock of the things that he mentions, okay? He says Joe Biden supports the $15 minimum wage. That's good. But that's not universal basic income. All right? You still have to have the job to get it. So that's not really what we're looking for right now. It's something that they've talked about, that really other corporations have kind of forced happen more than legislators. So Joe Biden supports that, but not all the way. He's going halfway on that to get you your money, all right? Joe Biden wants to make it easier to join unions, which is why it was so funny that John Kasich, who's a huge opponent of unions, workers' unions, is supporting them, all right? Somebody got this, miss me with the okie doke. That don't even make sense. That don't even make sense. He said, make it easier to join unions. What does that mean? We'll see, maybe. He wants to fund paid family leave. That's good. People should be, that's one good thing I'm saying. People should be able to be with their kids. It makes no sense that they have maybe a month, maternal leave after you done had the baby, or 2 months. What are you talking about? I can't even buy, my child barely even recognizes me after that short period of time. Like, you need time to raise your child. So I'm with him on that. We need to go ahead and get that in. So good job, Joe. Good job, Jim Crow Joe. All right. He wants to fund universal pre-K, which, I'm just be honest with y'all, preschool is potentially the most pointless form of school, because all that really does at that age is get your kid socialized with other kids, right? And which may be good for them, or it may not be, because some people's kids don't got no home training. You're just exposing your child to all kind of disease. You're getting them indoctrinated at an early age to the education system that we know is broken. Universal pre-K, nonsense. If you're talking about universal help people with childcare, right? Do something like that, or I can, care for my child at home, because a parent should be able to teach their kids anything that they're teaching them in pre-K. Let's be real. They learn their ABCs, right? They learn how to draw a circle the first time with the crayon or chalk, but there ain't no substantial learning happening in preschool. So miss me with that. That's a non-factor. I don't even care about that. Nobody cares. Who was asking for that? All right. He wants to fight climate change, which is good, by transitioning to clean electricity over 15 years, which I don't know. All right. Clean electricity, sure. But what about all these other alternative energy sources? What are these wind farms they spent all this millions of dollars on? What about the solar energy and the research they're doing with that? We just dropping those, we going electricity? You're just not even really looking at the geothermal option, all these other options. You want to go electricity. Okay, so you're about it, but you're not really about it. If that's the best you can do, you got some work to do on that too. All right. And then Bernie goes on to cope about his stance on healthcare, right? He even admits, he's like, me and Joe, we don't see eye to eye on healthcare necessarily, but he is going to, help people make it more affordable. No. Healthcare, Medicare for all. That's what y'all been pushing, all right? You even bring it up here in your little play-by-play fucking bullet point box, all right? We're the only industrialized nation who doesn't have access to universal healthcare, and people are dying. All right, you had the ticket plan. You couldn't help yourself from reminding me at least 12 times over the course of the night that over, 150,000 people have died. All right, and we know this is disproportionately affecting low-income people, and we know that these low-income people are usually the people that don't have access to the healthcare. All right, you know how you help fix some of that? You get some universal motherfucking healthcare to help these people, but you won't even concede to that. But you want me to trust them. So Joe hasn't, up to this point, Joe has not really come through on any of the things we asked him for. All right, he's not legalized weed. That's some simple ass shit. All right, legalize some weed. Obama said he's gonna do that. 8 years, he didn't do shit with that. And Joe, you gonna get the smoke for that too because your ass was in there standing right next to him, not legalizing weed. Joe Biden gonna come out and say some nonsense, talking about something. Oh well, I just think we don't have enough research. We gotta do some more research into it. Motherfucker, you know how long people been smoking weed? All right, you know the long-term effects of smoking weed. Go get Willie Nelson's ass in here. Do a little fucking physical check. All right, go get Snoop Dogg's 82 blunts a day ass in here. All right, go get any of these people, any of these old stone hippies. People been smoking weed for the longest time. The longest time. We don't need no more extensive research to see whether or not it's gonna be safe. All right. Meanwhile, y'all still got cigarettes out here killing folks that we know is killing folks. All right. You still got people hooked on all kinds of oxy and all kinds of freaking prescription medication. All right, ain't nobody doing nothing about that. He said we're gonna make the pharmaceuticals cheaper and more accessible to people. All right, which is only gonna exacerbate the opioid problem if you don't give them some type of alternative, which is what they were trying to do in some states that have to legalize weed. They're pushing people towards CBD. All right, CBD has a lot of those like pain relief, healing treatments, and without all the negative, nasty addictions that come with all these opioids that y'all pushing down our throats with this pharmaceutical nonsense. All right, there's a clear agenda here. Kamala Harris locked a whole bunch of people up for weed, bragged about smoking weed. The hypocrisy is insane, y'all. It don't make no type of sense. And yet, and still, they sit there and they look you in the eye and they say, we have your best interests at heart. Look here, I'm not gonna vote for Donald Trump. I haven't, and I'm not going to because I don't like him, okay? But you know how Donald Trump can win some votes if he just takes on one of these. Said, no, I'm gonna legalize weed. Guarantee you, flood of people gonna come from the Democratic side. All right, that's why throughout this whole night they kept encouraging you to vote early, vote now. Donald Trump's tearing down the mail system. Vote now, right? Bitch, election isn't until November. You got plenty of time to fuck up between now and then, or you got plenty of time to shape up. They want you to vote now so that they can have your votes already in the bag so that they don't have to deliver on the promises. Y'all not seeing this? Am I the only one that's seeing this? All right. It is a very plain and clear tactic to see. They refuse to deliver on anything, but they demand your vote. All right. And if you don't vote for me, according to Jim Crow Joe, you ain't black. And according to Jim Crow Joe, black people aren't diverse anyway. So we all should just go ahead and fall in line. At what point do I say enough is enough? All right. Even old George W. said, you fooled me once, shame on me. But you fooled me, can't get fooled again. And y'all been playing this bullshit ass game for the longest time. I can go back and look it up. These are facts. All right. This is just what Joe and Kamala have done. This is what the Democratic Party has continued to do time and time and time again. They never deliver. They give all this lip service. And for those of y'all out there thinking, well, you know what? None of this even matters. I don't even care about none of this. We got to get Donald Trump out of there. Maybe you're right. But if you're that passionate about it, then how about you be passionate about pushing these people? If this is what we got to work with, fine, fuck it. We only got these, this is our last bastion of hope, to defeat the bad orange man in the house. How about before we put them in there, not after, before we put them in there, We force them to make promises that will benefit the community, because that's how politics work. You don't ask them for something after they're in office, because they don't give a shit after they're in office. They don't need your support after they're in office, right? Donald Trump's approval rate has been up and down and all around this last 4 years. He doesn't care, all right? He said what he said, and then he got in office and he did what all presidents do that. Obama, right? He said, we're going to decrease the war on drugs, we're going to legalize, we're going to do all this, all right? Increase the war on drugs budget by like triple that bitch, all right? Didn't legalize weed for 8 years. They will lie directly to your face, all right? So, and tell me, at what point do you think that after they get in, you're going to have the standing to go up and say, hey, we need this change now? No, the negotiation starts now, before you cast the vote. That's what your vote is. That's your bargaining chip, all right? And some people's votes count more than others because they got money to back it up, right? Their constituents, all right? These shadow people in the background holding the purse strings, funding this whole campaign, all right? Those are the people they're looking to. But here they are asking, apparently they really need the black vote, or they wouldn't be trying so damn hard. It became very apparent to me very quickly that they are desperate for the black vote. So for once, black people, black family, we may be in a negotiating position of power to actually demand something of them before we put the support behind them. Not after, because we've already had Joe Biden in office once for 8 years. Twice, if you want to count it as two different terms. He's already been in there, all right? So why should he do anything different if we don't force him to do so? That's how the political discourse is supposed to work. But they want to convince you that you have no other option and that you need to go ahead and do this, and we will take a look at it later. Of course they would say that, because they understand that they're on shaky ground. Of course they would want you to turn your brain off and not think about it too hard and to just do it, because that allows them to be as lazy as possible when it comes to passing this legislation, when it comes to actually making and affecting change that they're talking about, when it comes to prosecuting these cops, these bad cops, these few bad cops. If there's so few of them, shouldn't take y'all so long to get them up the fuck out of there. But y'all not even working towards that. You're not. So before we close this out, there's one more speaker on here. Y'all know I'm about to talk about Michelle Obama. Now, right off the bat, all right, I haven't listened to Michelle's podcast. I haven't really followed the Obamas too much since they've been out of office. I was a little disillusioned with them and their overall performance when it came to how they affected change for the black community. It was a little lackluster for the amount of power and pull that they had and the amount of time that they were in there. I was disappointed. All right, feel however you will about that. That's just me. I'm not telling you how to feel. That's just me. One thing I remembered right away was that the Obamas are excellent speakers. I'm gonna tell you, excellent speakers. Both of them, Michelle, Barack, they're very empathetic. You know, their diction is always very clear. Their points come across as sincere in the way that they speak. I was impressed. I was like, okay, Michelle, I see you. I might peep that podcast, you know, just find out what's going on. But, you know, for someone who allegedly hates politics, because she's been to this thing, y'all know I hate politics now. She's pretty damn good at being a politician. And ain't no mistake about that. She in there campaigning like she's trying to get back to the White House herself for Joe, right? And I just find it, it's just odd that like Joe can get on and say all these crazy things about black folks and be accused of all these things by these women, and you got Michelle and Barack just falling in line unequivocally without any sort of opposition. They ain't pulling them aside and say, hey Joe, you need to clean up your act, all right? Stop talking that crazy bullshit. Get your shit together if y'all wanted to help you out, right? These are people with political capital, right, that can get something out of Joe if they needed to. Hey, Joe, you want me to support you? Okay, how about you do this? So I'm not gonna go too hard on Michelle Obama because she know what she done did, and she maybe came out with the best intentions. I don't know. All right, there's always some long game in the background with this because they really campaigning for this, right? But at the end of the day, I don't know what they think I'm supposed to think about Joe Biden following the history of Jim Crow Joe Biden's track record. Nothing that she said. I mean, mostly she's went on and basically delivered the same talking points. You know, we need to avoid division and we need to unify and we need to leave this country better for our kids and their grandkids. She said a whole bunch of nice things, a whole bunch of really patriotic things. You know, it all sounded very good. And they're gonna replay Michelle's clip ad nauseum for the next week and a half, I guarantee you. Little snippets. And they're gonna say, look, Michelle said this. And again, she came out and she spoke from the heart, it sounded like, or maybe she's just really fucking good at this political game at this point, and she's just being completely disingenuous. Either way, Michelle Obama is not moving me to vote for Joe because she's not really giving me any reason to vote for him other than Orange Man bad. Again, I can't wait to hear what Brock had to say on day 2, 3. Like I said, we're gonna be covering this. We're gonna be back at this, right? I can't wait to hear what he got to say. Cause I want to see how he gonna justify, right? But they're using the Obamas to galvanize the black community. It's a very transparent political ploy, okay? And if y'all at home, you say, you know what? I'm with it. I'm voting for it. Okay, that's fine. I'm not telling you to vote for it. I don't care. I'm not telling you to vote for it. I don't really care who you vote for. All right, that's really none of my business. I'm not here to campaign for anybody right now because the two options that we have up here are both trashed here. Okay, but I want you to ask yourself before you cast a vote, what is my vote doing? What am I voting for? A return to the status quo? Was that really good for us before? I would argue that now in the wake of all this, we're seeing that the status quo was really not set up good. There's some holes in that bitch, right? What am I really getting for my vote? If you ask yourself that question, what am I getting for my vote? And you think about it. Give it a good 5-minute thought. Really meditate on this. And you come back and you realize that I'm not getting a damn thing for my vote, then perhaps it's time to reconsider the way that you play this political game. Because a lot of us, all right, have been playing it wrong. We've been bamboozled for years. Black people we just part of the Democratic Party, right? And the fact that they're campaigning so hard right now tells me that they realize that more and more people are waking up from the matrix. I'm not saying you need to go vote Republican. I'm not saying you need to go vote, Green Party. If you want to vote for the Democratic Party, that's fine. But you need to make sure, as someone who is voting, right? Since voting is so damn important, you need to make sure that your vote is for something. It's not just against something else, because that is some bullshit. You shouldn't be voting against this dude. You should be voting for a tangible thing. That's just how the game should work. All right, last thing before we get out of here. They ended the first day one convention with this closing prayer from some pastor, some preacher. I don't know his name. All right. Now, first I gotta ask, whatever happened to the separation of church and state? All right, because this is all state. All right, but we're gonna end it with a prayer. That's kind of odd if we're supposed to separate the two. I just peeped that. I'm sure y'all know God is on the money. God is in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, so the separation of church and state doesn't actually really exist, except for tax breaks for the church, right? But this pastor goes on to deliver this really low energy, State of the Union address. It was more of a political address than a prayer, to the Most High. I tell you, look, I ain't been by the church in a minute, family. But what I can tell you is that when I was in there, when the pastor delivered the closing, words, the closing prayer, or any prayer really, it had some vigor, right? Pastor be in there catching the Holy Ghost, right? He be in there ending it in Jesus' name. Amen. Can I get an amen? Y'all know what it is. This dude looked like he just took like 4-5 Ambien. They wheeled him out, right? Stood him up. And they got him reading. I ain't never seen no pastor read a prayer, right? He might have read some scripture. He might look down to get like a little quote from the verse to throw in the prayer. But I ain't never seen no black pastor that's really about it at them kind of churches. Y'all know what I'm talking about, all right? Read a closing statement from a piece of paper, all right? That's some bullshit. All right, pastors, your only job is to be able to speak to the congregation, all right? Memorize your speech. Everyone that was up here reading off of cue cards and that, just trash production. Memorize your words. Do a pre-recorded thing if you have to. If you can't do it, you gotta do a couple takes, all right? But y'all out here, it's amateur hour in this motherfucker. And I'm supposed to be energized? I tell you what, I'm energized. Fucking pissed that they think I'm so stupid that this is just gonna work on me, right? That I'm energized about that, but this is all pushing people in the wrong. I don't think it's pushing them in the direction that they want, that supportive direction that they want. But hey, let me know what y'all think. Again, we're gonna be covering this, all right? We're gonna do day 2, we're gonna do day 3, all right? We're gonna talk about the different points. We're gonna keep them accountable for this, all right? So hey, if you like this, look forward to this, all right? These are gonna come out the day after, the day after the actual thing, so I have time to go over it and get my thoughts together. So I'm not just out here talking nonsense, right? But look forward to this as the follow-up, all right? Even if you don't like watching the thing, because it is trash. It is unequivocally trash. There's no question about that. All right, watching it puts me to sleep. Maybe make a drinking game out of it. Hey, right now, actually, for all y'all that's still here, we are making a list of buzzwords, all right, to make something like almost like a bingo sheet. Make a little game out of this, little game out of this. If y'all turn it into a little drinking game, you know, if you're over the age of 21 and that, you know, y'all go ahead and do that. I said it's not a bad idea. So far, buzz terms we got black and brown. Let's see, unity, division, racial injustice or systemic injustice, systemic racism. All that's kind of a umbrella term. You know, we got a couple more. You know, if you've been watching this, y'all know what I mean when I say buzz term. Give me some buzz terms down in the comments to put on the bingo board, all right? And maybe by the third day, we might get some live stream action on here so we could all go through this, you know, together. Make a little game out of it. Get some entertainment value out of it, because there's not going to be any substantive thing coming out of this convention. I can tell you that right now. It's going to be 2 more days of circle jerking Joe Biden and condemning Trump for actions that may have been his fault and arguably were not his fault, but they're condemning him for it anyway, okay? But hey, like I said, if you've been rocking with me this long, thank you. All right, politics is draining, but we fucking are in here. All right, and I know this is a little bit more vulgar in terms of the wording than some other videos, but look, I don't give a shit. I don't have enough viewers on here to monetize this bad boy yet anyway. All right, y'all like, share, and subscribe. Y'all get this out to your people. Then we'll get some more people in here. Then we'll be able to monetize it. We'll really be able to talk some shit. Okay, but for now, this is me. I'm keeping it a buck with y'all. If you like what you heard, let me down in the comments. Let's get this conversation going. We got a couple hours before the next one airs. And hey, be back, ready to discuss. So that's what we're doing, having this conversation. We're having the hard conversation that they don't want you to have. So, thank you. And I'll catch you on the next one.